Howdy, 8th grade. Today we are going to go back looking at rational expressions. So we did multiplying and dividing them. Now we're going to go to adding and subtracting them. And again, when we see ratio here in rational, I want us to think fraction. So let's do a quick review on how to add and subtract fractions. I know we know how, but if I have a problem like 1/3 minus 2/7, what I want to do, the first step, is going to be to find a common denominator. And the easy way to do this is just to multiply these two denominators together, and I would get 21. So I'd say 3 times 7 equals 21. And then I want to put both fractions with the common denominator. So I want to put both fractions into this common denominator. And the way I'm going to do that, I'm looking at 1/3. I need it over 21. So it'd be 1 times 7 over 3 times 7. And my other one is going to be 2 times 3 over 7 times 3. And just like that, I know that my bottoms are the same. They're both going to be 21. If I simplify this, I get 7 over 21 minus 6 over 21. And then what we're going to do is we're going to keep the denominator. And we are going to perform the operation. So perform operation means either add or subtract on the numerator, which is going to give me that this is 1 over 21. Ta-da! So I'm hoping that we could have been able to do the fraction thing already, but our 3 steps are going to be the exact same. Doing fractions as doing some more complicated things. So what we're going to do, let's try a quick example. This example is going to be 2h to the 4th over 6h plus 4h squared over 2h squared. So there's a few ways to do this, and I'll show you all both different ways. So the first way is to find denominator first. I don't like this way very much. It's a little bit more messy. The second way is to simplify first. This is going to make us much happier. So we'll come back up and do the simplifying first in a second, but I want to try finding the denominator first. So 6h and 2h squared obviously aren't the same, so we've got to find a way to make them the same. I got an h here and an h squared here, so I could take my 2h to the 4th over 6h and multiply both of those, or multiply the top and bottom by h, and that would get me to 6h squared. And then the other one, my 2 needs to become a 6, so I'll multiply that by 3, 4h squared times 3 over 2h squared times 3. When I'm done with that, I'll end up with 2h to the 4th times h over 6h squared. H to the 4th times h, I shouldn't write, that's h to the 5th. There we go. Plus, over here I'll have 12h squared over 6h squared. Look at that, got my h squared and h squared on the bottom. Those are common denominators. So now what I want to do is keep the denominator, 6h squared, and add the top. So I have 2h to the 5th plus 12h squared. And looking at this, I can simplify a little bit. So I am going to factor out. So now to simplify, we have to factor. I can factor out a 2h squared out of the top, which is what I'm going to do. 2h squared times h cubed is going to be 2h to the 5th. Let me make sure this is clear. To simplify, factor. So I took out a 2h squared. 2h squared times h cubed is 2h to the 5th plus 6. There shouldn't be an h. There we go. So 2h squared times h cubed, 2h to the 5th. 2h squared times 6 is 12h squared. And then we keep the bottom, which is 6h squared. And looking at this, I have an h squared on top and an h squared on bottom. Those cancel. I have a 2 on top and a 6 on bottom. which is the same as 1 over 3. So this is h cubed plus 6 over 3. And we'll see if I spaced this right, because I think this is going to work out. So if I simplify this first, what I'm going to want to look at is first I'm going to want to see what all I can take out of this first one. So I have 2h to the 4th over 6h. And I can take the 2 out right now. That is the same as 1/3 h to the 4th over h. But I know h to the 4th over h, same as h to the 4th over h to the 1. And I can cancel out one of those h's, so I end up with h cubed. Awesome. And we'll look at the other one, which was 4h squared over 2h squared. And I know that 4 divided by 2 is 2, and h squared divided by h squared cancels out entirely, so I just have that equals 2. So what I'm going to be doing is adding h cubed over 3, or 1/3 h squared, sorry, 1/3 h cubed, and adding that to 2. So now I have to figure out a way to give these common denominators. To do that, I'm going to just use this 3 here. Right now I have 2 over 1. So if I multiply this by 3 over 3, I would get h cubed plus 6 divided by 3. Sorry, I skipped a step there. H cubed divided by 3 plus 6 divided by 3, which is h cubed plus 6 over 3. And just like that, we're good to go. And that's why I like to simplify first, because I thought this was a lot easier than messing with everything on this side. That was kind of ugly. So we're going to try one with subtracting real quick. And we're going to have maybe a little bit more complicated of a problem, but it's going to be x plus 3 over x minus 4 minus 2 over x squared plus x minus 20. So now I don't really have the option to simplify first. This is all I've got. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the bottom here and see if I can factor it. So factoring is always good. Always good. And you'll see why in a second. So if I factor this, I need two numbers that are going to multiply to negative 20 and add to 1. That would be x minus 4 and x plus 5. With my 2 on top, I have x plus 3 over x minus 4. So if we look, I already have this x minus 4 on bottom. So to get this denominator looking like this one, I just got to multiply it by x plus 5. So I'm going to have x plus 5 times x plus 3 over x plus 5 times x minus 4 minus 2 over x minus 4 x plus 5. All right. Here goes. I got a FOIL. This piece right here, so that would give me first is x times x, x squared. O is outer. X times 3 is 3x. I is inner. 5 times x is 5x. And last is 5 times 3, which is 15. And I have my minus 2, and that will be divided by x plus 5 times x minus 4. So a little bit of simplification, combining like terms on top. I have x squared plus 3x plus 5x, which is plus 8x. There we go. Plus 13 divided by, and I actually already have what these two multiplied are because I factored it. So if I bring it back out, I would have x squared plus x minus 20. This thing here I can't factor, which makes me sad. But that's okay, that means I'm done. So this is my answer, and just like that, I am finished. So that's about as complicated as it'll get there, having to factor some things to find a like denominator. But that's it. You're going to treat it exactly like a fraction. Make sure we've set a common denominator so that we can just do the operation on the top. And once we're done with that, we finish the problem. So I will see you all in class tomorrow, and hope you have a great evening.